So a lot of fans are reacting to a leak that came out, and it was a very interesting leak because this leak was something that I think Xbox fans were hoping for, and it sounded pretty dubious to myself personally. But at the end of the day, I guess we didn't really expect this thing to kind of come through fruition or whatever the case may be. It's kind of unfortunate when these types of things happen, but at the same point in time, it's so easy to get sucked into these things, and I hate that for people. It's like they want certain things to be true, and then obviously they're not all the time, and it's just like Microsoft does a lot of double speak, and they kind of say a lot of things without saying anything, and I think people don't understand that, or they're not completely aware of that. But anyway, I kind of wanted to get into this because a lot of Xbox fans are ticked off about this, but this is like something I don't really know. You blame Xbox for this, or this is just something where you kind of blame the people that are out there kind of propagating this. I don't know, but I'm Crap Gamer. This is Crap Gamer Reviews with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel. It means a lot to me personally. I do daily gaming content, so if you guys are looking for somebody who does that, look no further than right here. As always, I try to be fun yet informative, so if that's something that you are looking for, let me know. Realistically, I appreciate it if you guys are here for that. So thank you guys. Now the leak that kind of came out was from someone who I guess is losing more and more credibility as it goes along, but this particular person said that Xbox had some backwards compatibility stuff going on that was going to bring everything backwards compatible, etc., etc. There was an elaborate report from a YouTuber, and I'll link this article, you guys can check it out, about Xbox's apparent backwards compatibility overhaul for 2026. It began attracting a lot of attention online, and many have been trying to find out more details since then. Speaking on social media a few hours later, when the central editor Jez Cordon explained that he believes the report is fake, advising that although Xbox wants to bring more games to more places, this particular scenario isn't on the cards. And here's basically what happened. This person named Rebs Gaming said, according to the leaker, Xbox and Xenia Canary emulator team are working together as part of the Xbox Classics program. The idea is to bring Xbox 360 and OG retro games to PC, Game Pass, and xCloud with enhancements. And what Jez said to that is Xbox is going to bring more games to more devices, but this particular scenario isn't a thing at the moment. So again, this is what I'd have to say, right? Xenia is their own thing, and to sell games through emulation is illegal. You need licenses and all that kind of stuff. This is why I said this sounded pretty dubious to begin with. And to be fair, it really is. And at the end of the day, that's why I never bought into it in the first place. But it's like, how can you, if people wouldn't have these games on a PC or whatever, so how would they be able to play them, right? A lot of these games aren't on PC, so you couldn't do that. You'd have to sell it to people, which would be illegal. And then someone else said they needed Jez and other people to investigate the claim to see if they can corroborate with this, and Jez says it's false. I expect more of your Xbox games to be playable in more places, but this particular scenario isn't in the cards. For what it's worth, this person that leaked this originally has been actively addressing the report on social media over the past few hours, responding to people with clarification about what he's heard. Based on Jez's response, though, it seems he's either been misinformed by his source or he's privy to information that even the likes of Windows Central aren't aware of. Anyway, as mentioned earlier, information like this should always be taken with a grain of salt. We'll have to wait to see, if this comes true or whatever. But again, it's like, why would Microsoft use Xenia to begin with? By the way, also, since this point in the Xenia official Discord, they have denied this and said it's fake. It's not true. Because again, why would Microsoft use them? Microsoft used their own really brilliant way of doing backwards compatibility with the OG Xbox and Xbox 360 games, and the big problem with that was that you needed official licenses and agreements and things like that, especially in the cases of where you would have a racing game. Those parts, those official cars, the music, all that stuff is licensed, and those are usually only licensed for, a handful of years. And when those licenses expire, like, a lot of times games will get, like racing games will get delisted, but you can still buy the old discs that are, and use those, but because that's hardware, right? But they couldn't, say, okay, let's go ahead and make this, software emulation. You can't do that. It's against the law. So, this is a big issue for a lot of people going forward. So a lot of people are kind of ticked off, and I get it, but I don't really blame Microsoft. Well, in a way, I guess you can blame Microsoft a little bit, because at the end of the day, they're the ones speaking without really saying anything, and that's really kind of unfortunate in my opinion, because a lot of people are expecting, I think like expectations need to be a little bit in check. You've got some people out there thinking that they're going to be able to buy this Xbox and it's going to have free multiplayer and it's going to have, this, that, and the other thing. And at the end of the day, I just don't think that's going to be like people think this thing is going to be like this supercomputer at this particular point, and it's going to play Steam games, and it's going to play this, and it's going to play that, and it's going to play the best versions of this, and you're going to be able to like do everything in the world with this thing. And I just, I don't really think that is feasible or going to happen. It's going to be backwards compatible with this, and you're going to be able to take your OG Xbox game. Like, what OG Xbox games? I mean, most of them weren't even on PC, so how the hell would that even work? You would have to sell them, which you illegally cannot do, right? Like, you have to own the product. Like, you could make a software emulation thing for it, but you can't charge for the games at that point. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't make sense why they would do that, or why they would hire this other little company to do that. So yeah, like, of course this was false, and of course, a lot of Xbox fans are disappointed with this news, or whatever the case may be. And again, this was like something of a pretty negative rumor, in my opinion. It was like, I never thought it made sense. Honestly, I just really think, and even when you see the original article about this, the first comment is like, how are they going to do that? They had to stop Xbox 360 back compatible due to license. How are they going to get the license for all those games? Instead of doing that, how about they put an actual game on physical disc when they release it? So, again, the legality of it is quite simple and quite clear as day. It really kind of comes down to what they're going to be able to kind of accomplish and pull off. Like, I think Microsoft, they keep saying all these vague statements, right? And it doesn't make a lot of sense that these things would come true. Like, I think people are they're gonna build this up, and this happens a lot in the Xbox community. They like build this stuff up, right, so much, and then at the end of the day, it ends up not being anywhere close to being what people like expected it to be. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that the next Xbox is going to be terrible. Maybe it is something nice and something different, but I think that everybody maybe is putting a little bit too much into this. They're like too much hype or whatever, and I just don't think that's a smart thing to do at this particular point, because Microsoft can never stick to a plan for longer than like 6 months or whatever. Just look at the things that they were planning on doing from the FTC. Almost everything has changed since those original ideas and those original plans. So yeah, I think that Microsoft obviously has no one but themselves to blame, and we'll see how that kind of works out with this stuff. But I can understand why some people are upset, but Microsoft is only partly to blame, in my opinion. Yeah, they messed up. They did the silly video where they're like all talking about all this stuff, and they tried to like tease and hint things. They should have just been like, yeah, we're working on an Xbox with AMD, it's a console, blah blah blah, the future is going to be great, whatever. Instead they use all these words, and they it's confusing, because just like with the Xbox ROG Ally, whatever that thing is, that was confusing when you first see the trailer. It's like, play your games natively, and it's like, you can't. That's why this whole everything's an Xbox thing doesn't work. So again, you have to learn, live. These things happen. We'll see how Microsoft handles it in the future. I would love to be able to play all my games backwards compatible that I own physical and all that kind of stuff. I think that would be cool. But how would you get those, right? Like, they would have already had to been available in the store, and there's only like 60 original Xbox games that are available that way. So, you know, like again, this never really made much sense to me. We'll see how this works out in the future, but yeah, just a big not going to happen on this. Let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up. Grab Gamer out.